Britta Riley. I'm the founder and CEO of Windowfarms. And this is a Windowfarm array here at the Natural History Museum that is a giant vertical garden that's growing food. And we have a really wide variety of plants growing here. Everything from herbs like chives and thyme and oregano to lettuces and kales, and all the way down at the bottom we also have some okra growing, some cherry tomatoes, and some beans and soybeans. So we have a really broad variety of plants that we're growing that are at all different stages. Now, the way that we're growing these plants is not at all traditional. We're using what's called hydroponics. And that means there's actually no soil involved in this system. The plants are actually being fed through their root systems using water that has nutrients dissolved into it. So I'm going to show you, this is a dinosaur kale plant. It's still kind of a baby. And you'll be able to see that the plants are sitting in these net cups, we call them. And they're full of clay pellets that are really porous stones. And those stones hold some of this liquid nutrient. So it's water that has seaweed and molasses and seabird guano inside of it. And we're basically bottle feeding the plant's root systems. So these systems are on a timer. And that timer controls an air pump. And the air pump periodically kicks on about once an hour and sends some of this liquid nutrient solution up to the top of every column through this tube on the side. And if you stand here for a little while, you'll start to see different sections of the Windowfarm turn on, and you'll see water traveling up the tube, going to the top plant, and then traveling down through each plant's root system to the one below, and getting recaptured in this container. So this is what we call the reservoir, and it's basically just a bucket with some plumbing inside of it. And we're adding water to those once a week, and we're dissolving a few teaspoons of this liquid nutrient solution. That's seabird guano, seaweed, molasses. We also are using some that are inorganic, so they're traditional fertilizers used in big scale agriculture. And this is really a working research garden that allows us to grow different kinds of plants and to really test the different kinds of nutrients and see different results depending upon what we put in them. Now, the really cool thing about this is that Windowfarms, our company, we're a social enterprise. So we both have a mission and we're a for-profit company. But we sell these units so that people can take them home and they can actually take this entire experience home and they can actually grow some of their own food in their windows. And those are these 4-foot-tall units that have a frame and then a bunch of plastic planters as well as a reservoir down at the bottom. And you can either hang them or mount them to your windowsill, and you can actually grow some portion of your own food, those things that you go to the grocery store for on a weekly basis, like lettuce and basil and kale, in your own home. And so then when you eat it, you're eating something that has so much more nutritional value because you just picked it. And it also has much better texture and is also a lot more flavorful than a lot of the same thing that you get at the grocery store. Because if you think about it, when you go to the grocery store, they basically taken the same plant and they cut the top off and put it in a box and then it's been sitting in the refrigerator at the grocery store for 3 days. Whereas here, you're getting something that's basically really fresh and freshly picked. So the purpose of this exhibition is to show people how they can use sustainable techniques of use organic and small scale agriculture to actually move our relationship with nature and with agriculture forward into the next generation. I want to explain a little bit about these LEDs. So You might wonder if it's like Christmas or what's going on with these LEDs. These LEDs are actually helping grow the plants. So this particular window, we've got a lot of leaves in the trees, and we're not getting a whole lot of natural light, so we wouldn't normally be able to grow something like an okra plant in here. But because we have these LEDs in here that are giving just the right color light to the plants to help them photosynthesize, you'll see that these plants are really going to thrive and become very full over time. Plants only use the red and blue parts of the color spectrum. So that's why we have red and blue LEDs in here that are feeding the plants just exactly the right kind of light that they like. Then we put in 1 or 2 white LEDs as well, just because when you put red and blue lights together, they make the plants look black. And we want people to see how pretty the leaves are, so we added some white light back in. And then finally, I'll just tell you a little bit more about Windowfarms. So we are a social enterprise, as I said. That means that we're supporting a social mission, and our mission is to reunite eaters with sustainable ways of growing food. And secondly, to revive agricultural biodiversity. So we're running a citizen science project on the internet, and we have 40,000 people around the world registered on our site. And each one of them is growing either using one of these systems or using our do-it-yourself instructions for how you can make a system very much like this out of water bottles. And all of those people are then testing out different kinds of plants. They're finding the seeds that their grandmother saved for them, or varieties that their grandparents used to grow, and finding the ones that actually thrive in small-scale systems. And the cool thing about that is that when we rely on the grocery stores to bring us all of our produce, we end up kind of feeding the system that gets us these plants that are basically grown and designed and engineered essentially to be transported. Whereas if you're growing some of your own food, you can grow things that are very delicate, and you can get a lot more variety in your diet by growing things that normally wouldn't be transportable. But so Windowfarm started as this open source project showing people how to make their own out of water bottles, and our community helped us engineer over time. It helped us learn how to grow in the best possible conditions in windows. And then we funded ourselves on a site called Kickstarter, where lots of people bought these units before they were manufactured, and that is how we raised the money to get these made sustainably here in the United States. And we're now going to be selling them in the museum store, as well as on our website if people don't want to carry them home.